Money brings in more money. That's all it does. And so when you can see it more as a tool as opposed to a reward or something that you're trying to get, that's when that multiplication happens. That's when you start creating passive income, and you're no longer working hours for your dollars. You're sending that money out every morning or every month or every year, and it's bringing back more and more money for you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about passive income, how we can create passive income for ourselves, and most importantly, what goes into a passive income investment, how we can identify something that can truly create that financial freedom and that stability in passive income for ourselves and our families. So the idea is to build a blueprint to 100,000. Awesome. A little bit of an overview. We're going to talk about automating your income, the importance of automating your income. I'm then going to go into a case study about one of my students, what he was able to do with his passive income, how that changed his life. What I look for in pie, this is not apple pie, this is pie as in perfect investment. I touched a little bit about this at the first EGC. And then finally, we're going to go to some next steps. So automating your income. One of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself is to create passive income. And it's really changed my life because what you're really doing is you're separating your hours from the amount of money that you make. Because for most of our lives, or at least for most of my life, up till when I started making passive income, I was trading my hours for dollars. So I could only grow to a certain amount of money, right? If I increase my skills and I'm making $500 an hour, I'm still tied to how many hours a day I could work. Like maybe I work 10 hours a day, so I make $5,000 a day, which is not bad, but you're still limited. There's a cap to it. So the only way to take off that cap is to make that separation between hours and dollars, right? So the only way to achieve passive income then is through investing, because we're no longer investing our time, but we're investing our finances, money that we're putting into the markets or whatever it might be, maybe staking, farming, right? We're creating that passive income for ourselves. And so typically, I don't know how familiar you guys are. You probably all are familiar because you are investors. But typically what you can see from the market is about 5 to 10%, right? So if a hedge fund, right, there's a big hedge fund, you invest money into the hedge fund, you're making money with the hedge fund, they can make you 10, 15% at max. Like that's considered amazing. Like if a hedge fund makes you 15% a year, they're like, wow, let me send you more millions, right? So that's a pretty typical return. 5 to 10% is typical. 15 is 12, 15. That's like amazing. And that's annually. That's not even per month. We're not talking monthly returns here. And investments above 10% annual returns can be found if you have the right access. So the only difference between people who are making less than 10% and the people who are making more than 10% is simply access. They have access to the right people. They have access to the right connections, the right investment opportunities. And so it's really, really crucial to have access to the investment opportunities and the knowledge on how to use them. Because that's how you're going to build that passive income and separate your hours from your dollars. So money is an excellent servant, but a terrible master. And this is something that I had to learn early on because you can't serve money. You can't always do your actions or your business or whatever you're doing just to make more money. You have to send that money out to bring in more money. Let money work for you. Money is like a servant, and every day you wake up, let's say you have $100,000 in your pocket, right? So you have 100,000 servants, and you send them out every morning. You're like, hey, go bring more. And that's what money does. It attracts more money. Money brings in more money. That's all it does. And so when you can see it more as a tool as opposed to a reward or something that you're trying to get, that's when that multiplication happens. That's when you start creating passive income. And you're no longer working hours for your dollars. You're sending that money out every morning or every month or every year, and it's bringing back more and more money for you. So the key is letting your money work for you. And statistics have shown that if you build your passive income portfolio correctly, you're actually able to achieve financial freedom or retirement, whatever you want to call it, within your first 12 months. And the key is building it safely so that you have that safety net just in case, but you're also risky enough to where you're making more than the 5 to 10%, and you're making enough that could actually sustain you, your family, and help you pursue your purpose and your vision. So here's a quick case study. One of my students, Jim, and his name has changed. I don't think I have any Jims in my program, but Jim from the Six-Figure Mentorship, he hates his job, right? So he comes to me, he's like, Austin, I hate my job. My boss sucks. Like, he always tells me to do the things that he doesn't want to do. He's just giving me busy work. I'm never actually able to contribute to the projects that I'm working on. I hate it, right? And so I was like, Jim, like, why don't you join the six-figure mentorship program? I can guide you step by step and help you make that transition. So he wants to transition out to spend more time with family. That's a pretty good cause, isn't it? Yeah, I think that's a good reason. And he wants to pursue his dream of mentoring young adults and who grew up without a father. So Jim grew up without a father. He didn't have that fatherly influence in his life. He was not able to kind of rely on somebody. He didn't have a fatherly figure that he could just ask questions to and lean on when he had tough times in his life. So he had to work through all that on his own and actually go out and seek people that would mentor him. And he wanted to actually be proactive about it and provide that experience for other people, because there's so many people out there who grew up in broken homes and they don't have that father figure to rely on, to get mentored by. And so that was a passion of his. He was in Canada. He wanted to start this program where basically he could help these people, and he didn't want to charge for it. So of course he has to take care of his own income. Create enough to actually host and facilitate all of this and spend his time doing what he's passionate about. And so the idea here is the more money you make, the more impact you can have. Because as I mentioned yesterday, you can only influence X amount of people. If you have more money, your reach expands. You can hire additional coaches. You can create curriculums and facilities and host all of these people. So it's really directly tied to how much money you make. So Jim needed to replace his personal income so that he could focus on his passion. He followed the passive income framework that I gave to him. And basically, he invested about $40,000, just under actually, maybe like 38, 39. And by the end of the first 12 months, he was very, very good about following the steps, like step by step. He was in it. He's like calling me every day. He's like, Austin, what do I do here? What do I do here? And he was able to make over $200,000. That's one of the best students that I've ever had. And he's able to, yeah, let's give him a hand. Yeah, so he was able to create this income, and after the first year, he's like, dude, like this really works. And I was like, yeah, I told you. But anyway, so the idea there is to scale it, right? And so this passive income that he created, that's not a one-time thing. It's not like he spent $40K creating some type of program and then he just sold it, right? He wasn't selling like courses or mentorships or anything like that. This is all just passive income. And the cool thing about passive income is that if you structure it correctly, it can grow and grow and grow. And so that 200K became 300 and 400 and 500. And so it just scaled and compounded and grew year over year. So let's take a look at what types of returns we can expect from the market. And whenever I go into an investment situation or I'm analyzing an investment, let's say somebody emails me, Bob emails me an investment. He's like, bro, you should invest in this. And so immediately I categorize it as a tier 1, 2, or 3 type of investment based on the return. Because we don't want to focus on things that are kind of going to make us money. We want the things that are going to make us a lot of money. And so tier 1 investments are going to be 100% plus annual returns. These are the investments that are like A grade or A plus grade. If you've ever seen like stock ratings and stuff like that, this would be an investment that's like top tier. This is what you really, really want to go for. And most of the investments that I target are 100% plus returns. Those are the ones that really interest me. Now, of course, they usually carry more risk. But if you do the proper due diligence and you trust in the leadership and the vision that they have set in place, you can often win big with these, just like Ben was talking about. Tier 2 investments, these are going to be anywhere from 50 to 100% annual returns. These are still great. I have a lot of tier 2 investments because I know they're solid. They're usually going to be a lot safer than tier 1 investments. And you're still making good money. Like 80% a year is still good if you ask me. Tier 3, 10 to 50%, I typically do not focus on these. There are a lot of investments like this. There are a lot of 10 to 50% a year investments where you're going to make some money, but to be honest, there are better opportunities out there with the technology that we have available today, whether it's Forex or e-commerce or cryptocurrency. As you've seen all morning today, you can make a lot more money than 10 to 50%. That gets a little bit boring. So what do I look for in PI? Again, PI is a perfect investment, PI. So I want to see at least 50 to 100% annual returns. So at least a tier 2 investment. Tier 2 and Tier 1 are the ones that I focus on. Solid fundamentals. So you want to look at who the owners are of the company. Whether it's a company or a project, do you believe in them? Because the idea, that's one thing. There are so many good ideas out there. Everybody has the next big idea, but do you believe in the people executing it, that they can actually follow through with it? So oftentimes, when I am analyzing an investment, I want to meet the leadership. I will often even fly out there and meet them. And actually, something kind of funny I wanted to mention about Gwen, before I asked him to speak, I went down to LA and I vetted him, and he doesn't know. But basically, I took his mentorship, and I was like, I want to see if this guy's legit. He knows. I flew down there. I was like, I got to see if this guy's legit. And so I spent a couple days down there with him, and I saw that this guy's the real deal. He's really doing it, and he's not just teaching it, trying to sell a course. So that's one of the reasons that he's a speaker, because I want to make sure I'm bringing guys that really are doing what they preach for you. And so he's like an owner that I believe in, and I believe in the philosophy that he has. He wants mass adoption. He's not trying to pump and dump. He believes in mass adoption, which is something that benefits everybody. So you want to look at the philosophy as well. Another thing is longevity of investment. So sometimes you see these investments where they pop off for a couple months or a year or 2 years, and then they're gone. And guess what? Now you have to restart your passive income framework all over again, because you had all this income coming in. Let's say you're making 6 figures, 7 figures, and all of a sudden it's gone. You want to make sure that what you're investing in is sustainable. And if you are going to invest in something that you know is probably not going to last forever, just make it a very small part of your portfolio. Because if 10 or 20% of your portfolio is gone 1 year, that's not a big deal. You still have the majority of it creating passive income for you. And I always leave room for investments like that. To be honest, I have bought and flipped meme coins. It's a tiny part of my investment. I bought Labra coin. Actually, I lost on that one, but there are other meme coins which, it's not a long-term thing. I know this thing is not going to be here for years or decades. It's a very short-term thing. Another thing that I look for is repeatability and scalability. If I did it once, can I do it again? Or did I just get lucky? I want to make sure that I'm not investing in things where I'm just getting lucky or I might win. I want to make sure that I can repeat it over and over and over again. And one of the biggest reasons is because I teach a course on passive income. So if I'm making money off of something and one of my students asks me hey, can you teach me? Can I repeat that? Did I just get lucky, or can I actually repeat it? And most importantly, scale it. If I'm making money with $100,000, if I invest $1 million, is it still going to keep working? How far can I scale it? Because that's another limiter that we can actually place on ourselves when we're creating passive income. If it can only scale to 500K or $1 million, maybe it's not worth dedicating a large portion of your portfolio to it. Maybe just dedicate a small part. If you like it, if you believe in it, that's great. And another thing, this is actually kind of funny, and I always want to make sure that the investment is a minimum of $10,000, because to be honest, I have never seen a true passive income investment that was less than 10 grand and actually worked out. Just my personal experience. Maybe there are some exceptions, but me personally, I want to see something where they have the ability to demand that higher minimum or that higher price, because that, number one, shows confidence in the investment and most likely a proven track record. Because if people are willing to put in 50 or 100 or $500,000 into it, it probably has worked for somebody, and they're probably making money with it. That's just an additional thing that I like to do. Obviously, it's not mandatory, but it's a great way to help you vet these investments. So investment vehicles. What could you look at if you wanted to create that passive income? I spoke a little bit about different vehicles that I have set up, but these are the basic categories, right? You could look at funds or maybe syndicates, or syndications. Funds, crypto fund, like Ben mentioned. Maybe it's some sort of hedge fund. Sometimes you can get these new modern funds which are creating a lot more than 5 to 10%. Some of these are doing 50 or 100% a year. So if you can find one where you believe in the ownership and you believe in what they're doing, you can create that passive income for yourself, and you're also hedging against risk because they have done their research. They have entire teams doing this for you. And so instead of you having to figure it out on your own, why not just invest with somebody who's already doing it well? And I actually have a project coming up in this space, which I'm not allowed to announce yet, but it's coming soon and you'll hear about it. Also, new businesses. Guys, this is something really, really cool because I have a personal story. So I've always wanted to own a coffee shop. I thought that'd be so cool, just literally own my own coffee shop, have the Austin blend or something. But There you go. And so I have a friend down in California. He's a friend of mine, and he's always wanted to start a coffee shop. I'm like, dude, why don't I just invest in your coffee shop? So technically, I'm an investor in this coffee shop now, and I'm not running it. I never would really want to run it, but I want to be a part of that, right? I want to be able to say like, oh, I invested in that coffee shop. I helped that person grow their business. And so as long as you believe in that person, again, the execution, ideas aren't really worth too much. The person executing them is. And so if you believe in what that person can do and that they're able to run a good business, that they have the experience necessary to make that vision a reality, even if the idea isn't the best thing you've ever heard, a lot of times they can turn it into something great. It's always the simple ideas that become something massive. Another thing is trading in software. Now, this is a personal favorite of mine. I'm a Forex trader. I trade manually. I have a software that trades for me automatically. Basically, the way that works is an investor funds an account, essentially. It's kind of like a bank account. It's called a brokerage account. And the only difference is that it gives you the ability to trade with margin. So you have these brokerage accounts. Let's say you deposit $100,000. You connect the trading software to this account, and it just begins analyzing the market for you, all automated. It analyzes, it opens trades, it closes trades, literally no involvement on your end. All you're doing is connecting this software and watching your account grow. Now, obviously, you have to be careful with that. Not all softwares are created equal. Some of them go for super, super high gains, and they'll oftentimes only work a few months out of the year. So trading kind of works in cycles, right? You have your winter and your fall seasons, spring. That's when the markets are volatile. All the traders, the big hedge funds and institutions, they're trading. In the summer, the market gets a little bit calmer, so a lot of times you'll see like new softwares come out in early spring, and everybody's trying to sell these new softwares like, oh, we discovered something crazy. Well, it's going to work in the summer because the market is just ranging. It's calm. But as soon as those traders come back from their summer vacations, all those bankers come back to their trading desks, they're going to start trading, and we're going to see major trends occur. And when those major trends occur, some softwares may not be able to hold up. Rental properties. I touched on this a little bit yesterday. Personal example, I'm like just getting into rental properties, but I'm enjoying it. You know, you have basically double growth. So I bought a house in Florida. It was like $300K or so, $280. And my mortgage is like $1,500, right? So I ended up splitting the house into 2 units. I specifically chose a house that was shaped like really long so I could just put a big wall in the living room and make it into 2 units. And I have a door in between, so I didn't even have to make it a duplex. I didn't have to rezone or anything. Super simple. And I'm renting out each side for $1,800. Now, why did I choose that area? Well, because a lot of people are going there for work. A lot of people are moving over to Florida. A lot of them are still renting, and those are market rents. So right now, if you're able to find markets where rents are outpacing mortgage payments and you can find a nice house shape where you can split it into 2 units, great opportunity. It's paying off my mortgage even if I lived in one of the units. E-commerce. This is another great tool. Walmart automation, Amazon automation. I just learned about Facebook automation the other day. Apparently there are Facebook stores. So I'm going to try it out, and I'll tell you guys more at the next DGC. But, there's a lot of cool ways to do it. One of the most profitable ways that I have currently is Amazon FBA. Basically, I have a team that does research, purchases a bunch of inventory, sends it into Amazon, and FBA just stands for Fulfilled by Amazon. Amazon fulfills all my orders, they do all the work for me, and I just split the profits with the team running everything. The only thing I have to put up is the capital on the front end. And so I'm making a certain amount every single month. It's automated. I literally have no idea what they're selling. I think it's like air conditioners or something. I don't know why they're selling them in the winter, but it works. So let's look at the 4 types of passive income. It actually should be 4 stages of passive income. I'm not sure what happened with the formatting there, but if we look at our little timeline here, and as you may know, I love acronyms. So what's our acronym here? LIPS, LIPS. Let's go, baby. That'll make you remember it. So the first stage is learning. In the learning stage, basically all you're focused on is learning about as many different ways that you can make money passively. Because you don't want to just go super deep on one thing and then realize, oh, there's actually a better option here. So you want to get some surface knowledge about as many different things that you can, so that then when you see something that fits your criteria, tier 1 investment, you believe in the ownership, you believe in their philosophy, you believe in their execution ability, then you can invest in those things, right? So you're learning about as many different things as you can, and then you can kind of pick and choose what you want to move forward with. Step number 2 is going to be implementing. So we implement what we just learned. We start trying these things out. Maybe we have a mentor that's helping us and telling us, hey, I tried this out. This is working for me. Let me follow what you're doing. Let me copy what you're doing and create that cash flow for myself. So we start the cash flow by implementing. Then we have perfecting. So as we start implementing, we realize like, hey, if I actually maneuver the investment like this, if I move money from here to here, I can make more money. So we begin perfecting and calibrating what we're doing so that we can grow it, right? We want to get really, really good at our craft. We want to be excellent at our investments. Now, scaling, that's the fun part. So once you have something that works, once you've implemented it, once you've perfected it, you're basically an expert at this one thing. Now is the time to scale. Now is when you can find people that will actually want to partner with you on that investment, and people that may want to even contribute into it. They want to invest in what you're doing. They believe in your execution ability now. It's no longer you believing in somebody else, but now investors are believing in what you're doing and your ability to execute on a certain investment. And that allows you to scale to 6 figures very, very quickly.